So, you think I'll let you come into this world? The woman sneered. You don't deserve it, and neither do the others after you. I'll keep cooking and destroying you all. Your stubborn mother will never hear the cry of a baby. I'll make sure of it.
She laughed loudly, her voice filled with evil. She stirred a pot of corn with a pestle in her hand. The sound of a baby crying came from the pot, loud and eerie. Meanwhile, Mary, who was sleeping beside her husband Daniel, suddenly heard the faint cry of a baby, like in a dream. A sharp pain shot through her, and she screamed, waking up in a panic. She looked down and saw her clothes and the bed soaked in blood. Her scream woke Daniel. "Mary, what's wrong?" he asked, his voice trembling. He followed her gaze and saw the blood everywhere. His heart sank. "Oh no, not again. Please, God, not this time," he whispered, holding back tears. In another dark world, the woman staring at the baby inside the pot, her laughter echoing.
Yes, cry. Tears will be your portion forever, and that foolish son of mine, he'll cry along with you.
She muttered, laughing at the crying corn in the pot. Mary groaned in pain.
Daniel, my stomach, it feels like it's on fire. Water, please, get me water.
Daniel quickly poured her a glass and handed it to her. "Here, drink this," he said urgently.
I can't breathe. My body is burning. Oh God, I'm dying.
She screamed before collapsing. Daniel panicked. "Mary, stay with me!" He rushed to pick her up. Just then, their bedroom door swung open.
What's going on here?
Daniel's mom asked, stepping into the room. "Mom, help me! We need to take Mary to the hospital," Daniel pleaded. His mom quickly moved to help, but as she turned her face slightly, a sinister smile flashed across her lips, hidden from Daniel's sight. She quickly became serious again.
Let's go, son,
she said hurriedly, helping him carry Mary to the hospital. "Take 5 seconds to pray for yourself and your loved ones. Say, 'Oh Lord, not my head, not my blood. I will see the end of this year in peace.'" In a busy city in Delta State, there lived a little girl named Mary. She was the only child of her parents, which meant she got all their love and attention, whether it was playing at the park, going shopping, watching movies, traveling, or spending time with friends. Mary had it all. Her family was so happy and close that nothing seemed like it could ever break them apart. But one tragic day, everything changed. Mary's parents were killed in a car crash. Losing her parents left a deep scar in Mary's heart. Life became very hard for her, but her big aunt, Silver, stepped in to take care of her. Aunt Silver, her dad's sister, gave Mary all the love she could, which helped fill the emptiness left by her parents. One day, while they were walking outside, Mary spoke up. "Big Aunt, I was just thinking, if Mom and Dad were still here, we'd still be one big happy family." But they left without even saying goodbye. Memories of her parents flashed through her mind. She remembered the last conversation she had with them. "Mom, Dad, can you stay home today?" little Mary had pleaded. "I had a bad dream, and I don't like it." Her mom hugged her and said, "Oh, my precious baby, dreams are just dreams. And remember, we are children of God. Nothing bad will happen, okay?" Her dad smiled and added, "That's right, Mary. Nothing will happen to us. We'll always be here for you. We'll take care of you, and one day, we'll even send you to your husband's house when you're all grown up." Mary pouted and said, "But Dad, I'm still a baby. Stop talking about marriage. When I grow up, I want to marry you, Dad." Her dad froze, looked at Mary's mom, and shrugged as if to say, "She said it, not me." Her mom laughed and said, "My baby, you can't take my husband away from me. He's mine." "No, Mom. Daddy is mine too," little Mary said quickly. Her dad chuckled and hugged them both. All right. I'm all yours, okay?" Then he added, "Now let's pray together." As the memory ended, Mary sighed. "I really miss them, Big Aunt," she said softly. Aunt Silver gave her a reassuring smile. "It's okay, my dear. They're watching over you from heaven, and they wanted me to tell you something." "What is it, Big Aunt?" Mary asked. "They said they're proud of you every day, and they want you to keep being strong and stay close to God," Aunt Silver said. Mary gave a small smile. "Big Aunt, I know that's from your heart, but don't worry. I'll always make them proud, and I'll make you proud too." Aunt Silver's eyes filled with tears. "Taking you in was one of the best decisions I ever made," she said. Mary hugged her tightly. Don't cry, big aunt. I'm here for you. They both started laughing, breaking the emotional moment. As they walked, a passerby smiled and said, "Wow, what a loving family. I wish I had a sister like this." Another person added, "I hope to have daughters like them someday. If only wishes were horses." Another said with a laugh. Mary and Aunt Silver exchanged surprised looks and then burst out laughing. They were so used to people admiring their bond. "Save your tears for my big day, big aunt," Mary teased. "Oh, don't worry," Aunt Silver said with a grin. "I'll cry tears of joy on that day. You can use them like body cream," Mary laughed. "Then I'll bathe you in love." Hand in hand, they continued their walk, their hearts filled with warmth and love. "Mary, hurry up! We're getting late. Don't tell me you're giving birth in there," Aunt Silver called out, sounding impatient. "I'm here now, big aunt," Mary replied with a grin. "Save your energy for dancing in church. You really know how to shut me up, don't you?" Aunt Silver said, shaking her head with a laugh. They entered the church, sitting together and looking as beautiful as always. The building was packed, and everyone was quiet, listening closely to the pastor. The silence was so intense that even the drop of a pin could be heard. The pastor began his sermon. "Marriage is not something you rush into. If you rush in, you'll rush out just as quickly. Don't marry for money. Marry for vision. Because if you don't, you might end up watching that man with vision on your husband's television." The congregation burst into applause and laughter. Before the room grew silent again, the pastor continued. "Now who are the televisions? They're the men with flashy cars and money, living like there's no tomorrow. And because of their money, some girls will sit comfortably in the front seats of their cars, acting like they own them. Let me tell you, not every rich man is your husband. Marriage is not just about saying, 'I love you, I love you.' It's about finding a man with vision. Go to God. Commit your relationship to Him before starting any serious relationship." When the sermon ended, Mary and Aunt Silver chatted as they walked home. "Big Aunt?" Mary asked. "What do you think about girls dating for money?" Aunt Silver thought for a moment before replying, "I think they do it because they see money as everything, and many of them are too lazy to build their own lives. Listen to me, Mary. Never run after a man just because he has money. Instead, follow a man with vision. Even if he doesn't have much right now, you can build something great together. Do you understand?" "Yes, Big Aunt. I won't disappoint you," Mary said with a smile. "And one more thing," Aunt Silver added. "Avoid a guy whose mother doesn't like you. If his mother doesn't accept you, you'll never enjoy the marriage. This is serious. Hear me, my dear." She gently pulled Mary's ear to emphasize her point. Mary giggled. "Big Aunt, I think you missed your calling. You should have been a marriage counselor." "Say that again, you little brat," Aunt Silver replied, laughing as Mary joined in. The two walked home, laughing and chatting, their bond as strong as ever. Mary worked at a supermarket as a shopkeeper with 3 colleagues. She was known for her attention to detail, especially when she was working. Sonia, one of her colleagues, whispered to Tonya, "If someone saw her now, they'd think Mary is the most hardworking of all of us, right, Tonya?" Tonya laughed and replied, "Absolutely. And with that pouty mouth of hers, she looks like someone about to give an accidental kiss." The 2 girls burst out laughing. Mary overheard them and said, "Are you 2 done? Looks like you don't have enough work to do. Should I call the manager to assign you more tasks?" No, please," Sonia said quickly. "I can't afford to miss my date tonight," Tonya added, rushing off to her duties. Meanwhile, Mary didn't notice a man standing nearby, quietly observing her. He held a cart filled with groceries, but kept adding more items. Once he finished shopping, he paid for everything and approached the cashier. Pointing at Mary, he said, "Could you ask her to help me carry some bags to my car?" "Of course," the cashier replied, calling Mary over. "Mary, please help this gentleman carry some bags to his car." Mary nodded and helped carry the bags. Outside, the man took the bags from Mary and placed them in his car. Turning to her, he smiled and said, "Thank you for your help." "My pleasure," Mary replied politely. "What's your name?" he asked. "I'm Mary," she answered. "That's a beautiful name for a beautiful girl," he said warmly. "You can call me Daniel." "Nice to meet you, Daniel," Mary said with a small smile. "Mary, can I ask for a little favor?" Daniel asked. "As long as it's something I can do," Mary replied. "I'd like your phone number so I can check on you sometimes," Daniel said with a friendly smile. "Well?" Mary hesitated, but then handed him her number. "Thank you, beautiful. You're such a darling," Daniel said as he smiled and drove off. When Mary returned to the store, Sonia and Tonya pulled her aside. "Lover girl has been caught," Sonia teased. Tell us everything, Tonya added. I just helped him carry his bags to the car. He asked for my name and number. That's all, Mary explained. Are you sure that's all? You're hiding something from us, they teased. What do you want me to say? Okay, fine. We were making out outside. Happy now? Mary joked sarcastically. Sonia laughed. You? Making out outside? If that day ever comes, I'll gladly walk into this supermarket naked. Mary rolled her eyes. You're impossible. Well, welcome to the relationship gang, Tonya and Sonia said in soft voices, giggling. You two are so unserious, Mary said, shaking her head as they all laughed and went back to work. Later that evening, Mary returned home exhausted. Good evening, Big Aunt, she greeted. Good evening, my dear. Welcome back, Aunt Silver replied. How was work today? It was fine but stressful, Mary said, slumping into a chair. Sorry, my dear. Some days are just like that, Aunt Silver said kindly. But guess what? Mary said, her face lighting up. What is it? Aunt Silver asked, curious. At work today, a guy came shopping. He asked for my name and even collected my number. It's been so long since I gave my number to a stranger. Really? Someone asked for your number? That's wonderful, my dear, but make sure you commit him to God in prayer. And always keep your eyes open, Aunt Silver advised with a smile. I will, Big Aunt. Thank you, Mary said. I'll go freshen up quickly, and then we can have dinner together. All right, my dear, Aunt Silver replied. Late at night, in another world, a group of women came into their coven together. The Queen, standing in the middle and looking at them. They all wore black clothes, and 4 of them walked past and bow, each holding a black calabash in their hands. Suddenly, the Queen Mother nodded. She was dressed in a long black gown and walked to her throne. The women bowed their heads in unison and said,
Queen Mother, you're welcome.
Arise, my children, the Queen Mother said. But I am not happy. I sense a storm coming, but I cannot see where it's coming from or for whom. The women gasped in surprise. A storm, Queen Mother, they murmured. Yes, she replied. Now, give me your updates. One by one, the women shared reports of their daily activities. Finally, it was the turn of the last woman, Corn. Corn, the Queen Mother said sharply. Why is it becoming so hard for you to watch your son? Corn bowed her head.
No, Queen Mother, it's not hard at all. His routine has been the same, so I didn't bother to check on him today. But I'll do so as soon as I return.
The Queen Mother raised her hand, pointing to a large mirror that suddenly appeared. Look and see, she commanded. In the mirror, Corn saw a scene from a supermarket. Her son was standing with a girl, talking and smiling.
What?
Corn cried out in disbelief.
This can't be. I always satisfy his every need, so he'll never even think of another woman, let alone get close to one.
The Queen Mother's gaze hardened. Now you see for yourself, she said. Find out who that girl is and what is drawing them together. Do not fail me.
Yes, my queen,
Corn replied, her voice trembling. The meeting ended as the women sang a strange chant to the Queen Mother. One by one, they disappeared into thin air, leaving the Queen Mother alone on her throne. The next morning, Daniel got ready for work and planned to leave early. Just as he was heading out, his mother called out to him. Ah, Danny boy, you're already leaving for work? She asked. Yes, Mom. I have so much to do at the office, Daniel replied. But that's no excuse to skip breakfast, his mother said. You need energy to work efficiently. Mom, I know, but I really can't stay, Daniel insisted. Danny boy, you know my food always brings you good luck. Sit down and eat, my dear, she said firmly. Daniel sighed, feeling helpless. Without saying a word, he sat down and ate the breakfast on the table. Once he finished, he stood up quickly. Hope you're happy now, Mom? He asked. Yes, my son. I'm very happy now. You can go to work, she said with a smile. Bye, Mom. See you later, Daniel said as he headed out. After Daniel left, his mother began clearing the table. She smiled bitterly and murmured to herself, I don't have a choice, son. She hurried to her room and brought out a secret mirror. Holding it up, she commanded, Now, show me. The mirror glowed and began to change, displaying a mysterious scene. As Daniel's mother stared into the glowing mirror, her eyes narrowed. What am I seeing? She asked aloud. Where did this girl come from? I can't believe that just taking my eyes off you for one day led to this. No, not on my watch. I make sure you're satisfied every night, and yet you're still longing for more? Who is this girl? And why is my son connected to her? Meanwhile, at Mary's workplace, She suddenly sneezed several times in a row. "Who's calling my name right now?" she joked. "Tonya," her colleague teased. "Maybe it's Mr. Handsome thinking about you and calling your name." She burst out laughing. Mary chuckled, but looked thoughtful. "I hope so. But honestly, this sneezing doesn't feel good. It's like a bad sign," she said. She shook it off and continued her work as usual. Back in her room, Daniel's mother smirked bitterly as she watched Mary in the mirror. It seems someone is sensitive. Don't worry, I'm waiting for you," she muttered. With a wave of her hand, the mirror returned to its normal form. At Daniel's office, he was flipping through his files when his fingers stopped halfway. His mind wandered back to the supermarket and the brief moment he shared with Mary. "I haven't called her yet," he thought. "I wonder how she'd feel about that. Should I call her now, or is she too busy at work?" Feeling unsure, he decided to send her a text instead. Mary was so focused on her work that she didn't notice her phone light up with a new message. It wasn't until she started feeling hungry and reached for her phone that she saw the notification. "An unknown number?" she murmured to herself. She opened the message and read, "Hello, my beautiful shining star. It's Daniel here, the gentleman you gave your number to. Hope you remember me. How's work going? Can we grab lunch together, please?" Mary couldn't help but smile as she read the text. Tonya caught her smiling and leaned closer. "Babe, what's up? That's a man's smile, isn't it?" "Oh, stop it, Tonya. What's a man's smile anyway?" Mary asked, rolling her eyes. "Did I just hear a man's smile?" Sonia chimed in from across the room. "Yes, Sonia. I definitely caught our girl here smiling a man's smile. And you know what that means, right?" Tonya said with a smirk. Sonia nodded enthusiastically. "Oh, I know. Mr. Handsome must have sent her a message. Let's check it out." "Can you girls stop talking about me like I'm not here?" Mary protested, but before she could finish her sentence, Tonya snatched Mary's phone out of her hand. "What did you do that for?" Mary snapped, reaching for her phone. "Shh," Sonia said, motioning for Mary to be quiet. "Oh," Tonya cooed. "Our girl here has been invited to lunch." Mary's cheeks turned red as she blushed. "And it's lunchtime already. What are you waiting for? Reply to him immediately," Sonia urged. Feeling nervous but excited, Mary replied to Daniel's text. Soon after, the two met up at a nice restaurant for lunch. They enjoyed each other's company, laughing and talking like they'd known each other forever. When lunch was over, Daniel drove Mary back to her workplace. "Thanks for lunch," Mary said, stepping out of the car. "Oh, it's nothing, dear. I'd love for us to do this again, if you don't mind," Daniel replied. "I don't mind," Mary said with a shy smile. "Thank you," Daniel said warmly, as Mary waved goodbye and he drove off. That evening, Mary came home happier than usual. Aunt Silver noticed right away. "My dear, you seem so cheerful today. What's going on?" Aunt Silver asked. "Big Aunt, it's nothing. Well, Daniel and I went out for lunch and we had such a great time," Mary admitted, unable to hide her smile. "Really?" Aunt Silver raised an eyebrow. "Yes, Big Aunt. I think I feel so drawn to him already. It's like I've known him forever." Aunt Silver quickly raised a hand. "Stop right there, my dear. Take it slow, okay? Don't rush into anything. And don't get too committed too soon. Get to know him better before you let your feelings take." "I know, Big Aunt. I'll be careful, I promise. But I can't help feeling close to him already," Mary said. "All right then. Tell me more about this Daniel of yours," Aunt Silver said, leaning in. "Well, Big Aunt, Daniel is from Edo State. He's an only child. His father passed away, so it's just him and his mom. He's doing really well with his business, and he's kind and God-fearing," Mary explained. "But," Mary hesitated, "his mom stays with him. I've heard so many stories about mothers-in-law. I just hope I get lucky with Daniel's mom." "Let's hope so, my dear. Keep praying about it," Aunt Silver advised. "But what about David? You know he has feelings for you, right?" "Yes, I know," Mary sighed. "But he's just a friend. I don't feel anything romantic for him." "Well," Aunt Silver said thoughtfully, "I like David for you. You two are so close, and he always seems to know what you need." Just as Aunt Silver was speaking, there was a knock at the door. Mary got up to open it and saw David standing there, his face lighting up with a sweet smile. "Hey, beautiful," David greeted her. "Hi, Dave. You're here?" "Yes, I came to see you. You've been so busy lately," David replied. "Come in," Mary said, stepping aside. David entered the house and greeted Aunt Silver. "Good evening, Ma." "Good evening, my dear. How are you, David?" she asked kindly. "I'm fine, Ma," David replied. I'll just grab something from upstairs, Aunt Silver said, leaving the two alone. David turned to Mary. So, tell me, how have you been? How was work today? I'm fine, thanks. Work was good, just a bit tiring, Mary replied. I missed you, David said with a grin, pulling out a small bag. Here, I got this for you while I was traveling. Oh, Dave, you're so sweet. Thank you, Mary said, her eyes lighting up. You know how much I love cologne and chocolate, she added with a big smile. How could I forget? You're my everything, David said playfully, hugging Mary. Thanks, Dave, Mary said, shaking her head with a laugh. I just stopped by to give you this. I have a meeting to attend, but I'll come back soon. I'd have invited you along, but I know you're tired after work, David said. You're right. Thanks for understanding. Next time, okay? Mary said. Deal, as he waved goodbye. Daniel and Mary always spent time together and growing closer. They enjoyed every moment they shared, laughing, talking, and having fun. Even with David still in the picture, Mary could only see him as a friend. She didn't feel any romantic connection toward him, no matter how much he tried. David called her every day, asking about her day and checking in. But as the wise ones say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. With Daniel, it was different. When they weren't together, Mary missed him terribly, and Daniel felt the same way. One evening, Daniel and Mary were binge-watching movies at her place. They lost track of time, laughing and enjoying each other's company. Meanwhile, back at Daniel's house, his mother, Corn, went to check on him. Disguised as she appeared as a beautiful woman, she quietly entered his room, but he wasn't there. At first, Corn panicked. This hasn't happened before. Where could he be right now? She muttered. She quickly returned to her room and dropped the disguise, transforming back into her true form. Grabbing her magical mirror, she commanded, Now show me! The mirror shimmered, revealing Daniel sitting with Mary, laughing and having fun. No, no! Corn shouted angrily. They're still together? Why can't I break them apart? What's so special about this girl? As she stared into the mirror, it shifted, showing her something shocking. Corn froze on the spot, her eyes wide with fear. Slowly, she set the mirror down and wrapped herself in her black shawl. Grabbing her black calabash, she vanished into thin air. Corn reappeared in the other world, standing before the Queen Mother. Queen Mother, I sense trouble coming, Corn said, bowing. I found out who the girl is, and what I've discovered is terrible. Speak, the Queen Mother commanded. Corn hesitated before answering. Do you remember 19 years ago, when we sought blood on the highway? Her parents were among those we took, Corn said slowly. The Queen Mother leaned forward. And what does that have to do with the trouble you sense? I've been trying to separate my son from this girl, but nothing has worked. It feels as though something is protecting her. I believe it's the spirits of her parents fighting back, Corn admitted. The Queen Mother's expression darkened. This is more serious than I thought. If the spirits of her parents are involved, we'll need to find another way to deal with her. Corn nodded. Yes, Queen Mother. I'll wait until my son brings her to me. When that happens, I'll make sure she's dealt with. She doesn't know what she's getting into. No one takes my son from me. Never. Now you may go, Corn, the Queen Mother said with a wave of her hand. As they both chuckled loudly, Corn bowed deeply. Thank you, my queen, she said before disappearing.